In this video, we're going to talk about two really fun tools to use going to make your life a whole lot easier when you're trying to touch up photos that have blemishes and small things like that that you want to get rid of. Namely, in this case, a zit or a pimple or all that nasty stuff that you don't generally want everybody to see when you go to post your picture on Facebook and all that stuff for all your friends and family to see. So the tools we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the healing brush tool and the red eye tool. Spot healing brush tool is the first out of the three selections for the healing brush, and what that does is it basically takes pay very close attention to the options toolbar up here. In CS5 they introduced content aware, which basically what that does is as soon as I click here, it will go ahead and it'll samples all the colors in the entire picture and tries to make the best match in order to get rid of wherever I've clicked. Now, if you'll notice, I have a little dark spot there. So when I clicked, I'll undo that so you can get another, I'll redo it so you can watch and see it's a little darker there. Now the reason it's dark is because he's got some hair and some darker tones up here that it's picking up and trying to incorporate into healing that spot. So that may not be our best bet. Another bet that we have is our proximity match. Now what that does is it samples all the tones and colors from surrounding areas. So once I click that, if you'll notice it doesn't have that dark spot. That's because it sampled a lot of the colors around here, around it, and not the entire image. Create texture, I don't use too much because what it does is create a texture. As you can see, it kind of creates a texture based off the image itself. So sometimes it can be handy, sometimes it's got nothing to do with what you're trying to create. But in this case, to get rid of these two zits, what we'll do is we'll use proximity match because it works better for us, and give it a couple clicks, and they pretty much disappear. Now there's some still redness and things there, but one thing about this tool you don't want to do is you don't want to make it too big, because if you make it too big and click, as you can see, it tries to take all these tones and different colors from all over the image, and it doesn't work too well. So when you confine that space to a smaller circle there and go ahead and give it a click, it seems to work out perfectly. And then you can go through and fine touch these little red spots until you get it to the exact way you want it. So there is the spot healing brush. Now the healing brush tool is very similar. Let me deselect that. It's very similar, but think of it as more of a clone stamp tool than anything. And what I mean by that is when you want to correct a spot, you actually have to sample from a different portion of the image. So if I hold down my Alt key and sample this skin over here because it's closer to what I want this skin to look like, if I click here, now I'm sampling that image, and I come just like we did with the clone brush tool. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to soften this up a little bit so that it gets a nice even blend in there. So now it's going to sample from over here, and we just go ahead and start painting, and it'll get rid of that. And by the time it's done, see how it evens it out based on the tones that's over here. And we can do the same thing over here. So, and we can just keep on touching up and toning, getting all the different tones and things like that until we get it the way we want it. Now I'm back out of there. So that also works well for smaller things. So if we make our brush size smaller and go over here to this pimple and freckle, and we can start knocking these things out too. So different tools do different things, and you might find better uses and you might get better results. So you just have to play with them to kind of find the right one that suits your needs. Now the patch tool is also part of the healing brush tool, and what that does is it's kind of like the healing brush tool, where you have to sample, but instead of alt clicking, you have to actually select your bad area, your target area that you don't want anymore, and then you drag this over to a clear portion of skin that you want to sample from, and when you let go, it does the same thing as the healing brush does. So then you can hit Control D and select there, and then you can come up to the same part, draw the circle, and then sample it over from this part of the cheek, and it does the same deal. So as you can see, that didn't give us the best result either. So like I said, you just have to play and find which one matches what you're trying to accomplish the best. So that is the healing brush tool. It can do all kinds of great things, from small to big things, but you're just going to have to play with it and find out what works best for the current project that you're working on. Now we move over to the red eye tool, and we all know what red eye is. We all know how we get red eye and all this other stuff, but removing it can always not be the easiest. Can't always be the easiest thing until Photoshop comes in, where they just give you a red eye tool and make things just unbelievably easy. It's the most simple tool I've seen in a while. Basically, you can adjust pupil size, darken them out. A lot of this 50-50 works very well. All you have to do is once you're on the red eye tool, you simply walk over to the eye, click on the red part, and voila, it gets rid of the red eye. And now you have a normal baby instead of a Satan baby. So that was very easy. That works very well on most all pictures where they have extreme red eye or any kind of red eye like that. So I don't think I need to go too much further into the red eye tool, because that is very basic, very simple, and very easy to understand. So that is the healing brush tool. That's what that does, and that is also the red eye tool, and that's what that does. And now we can move on.